opportunity for all Americans. This year's recipient is Michelle Zabels. Michelle, a partner at Delaney McKinney, dedicated her career to applying and shaping the law to protect and promote individuals who faced insurmountable legal barriers and widespread social prejudice. In our country, it has taken many years, countless legal battles, and courageous sacrifices to guarantee liberty to all people regardless of color, the right to vote regardless of gender, and even the right to marry regardless of who you love. Michelle's career has been fueled by a passion for social justice and an expansive worldview. Her dad's career in the Air Force took Michelle around the world at an early age, including Germany, Japan, and Geneva. As a teen, Michelle had been in 11 different schools, mostly outside the United States. Michelle will grow up with a view of the world open to others and a belief that there's not just one right way. Michelle graduated law school during the early days of the AIDS crisis. As an openly lesbian woman in the early 80s, the impact of the epidemic on her was enormous. Not only did she have friends and colleagues who succumbed to this little understood, much feared disease, she saw the devastating difficulties that those living with AIDS and their families experienced because of discrimination. Michelle was one of the first pro bono volunteers to represent clients from the Whitman Walker Clinic. Michelle worked tirelessly to correct the tremendous inequality for same-sex couples who at the time could not be married. Over her 40-year legal career, Michelle, representing one individual client at a time, has enabled around 1,000 adoptions. She fought courageously to protect fundamental rights of LGBT individuals before it was safe, before it was popular, and before it was a movement. Michelle says she's never argued at the Supreme Court and never will. But in the hearts of those individual and family lives that she's touched, Michelle sits supreme as the queen of adoptions and a family maker. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce the recipient of the 2019 William J. Brennan Jr. Award, Michelle Zabels.
So I have the mandatory glasses at my age. So this must be a little bit, but it feels like at the Oscars, I think. President Lim, thank you for that very lovely and humbling introduction. First, I'd like to acknowledge my new colleagues and staff at Delaney McKinney, who have given me such a wonderful professional home. If you all would wave. And my family who is here, my mom, Minnie, my sister, Deborah, my daughter, Addie, and her fiancé, Michael, and my friends who are here tonight to celebrate celebrate this special award with me. And finally, my wife, Ellen. Who has been with me through everything for 25 years. We may not have anything in common, Ellen, but somehow it works. All of you really do sustain me, and thank you. I would also like to say a thank you to Professor Florence Roisman, who couldn't be here tonight, but she taught me to be suspicious when seeing the word deemed in a legal document. And that really has been the basis of my career. And Judge Gladys Kessler, who also could not be here tonight, whose example has meant so much to me over the years. So when I came out to my parents in 1972, it didn't go very well. Fortunately, my parents eventually prized me over their own prejudice. Thanks, Mom. Not everyone is or was so fortunate. In the early 80s, when the AIDS crisis hit, I was a volunteer for the Whitman Walker Clinic. I would visit hospitals where gay men were dying, and their families of origin would not allow friends and lovers of the dying man to visit him. Those men often died alone, without the people they loved. And even after their deaths, friends and lovers were barred from funerals and unable to locate their graves. At around the same time, Sharon Kowalski was in a horrible car accident in Minnesota that left her completely disabled, both mentally and physically. Her partner, Karen Thompson, fought Sharon's parents in the courts so that she could become Sharon's legal guardian. After 7 years and many court appearances in lower and higher courts, in 1991, Karen Thompson finally won the right to be Sharon's guardian. The Minnesota Court of Appeals called Sharon and Karen a family of affinity. That was a new thing for us. And in 1985, I gave birth to my daughter, Addie, and the world, of course, changed, and everything became much more personal to me. Between the AIDS epidemic and the Sharon Kowalski case, and for me, my daughter's birth, we in the LGBT community began to realize that we had the right to have families just like everyone else, and that the law should protect our families. That meant legal protections for each other, legal rights to our children, and eventually marriage equality. Unfortunately, this work is not over, and many of the legal battles we thought were mostly won have resurfaced. I commend the bar for recognizing that legal work on behalf of LGBT families is civil rights work. Family protections are civil rights, whether in the LGBT community, on our borders, or for undocumented residents in our country. I am especially appreciative to receive this award from the DC Bar. I've lived in Ward 5 for 40 years. I graduated from Catholic University Law School and consider myself a DC lawyer. I have been lucky to work in an environment with a bench of outstanding Superior Court judges, and a city council and a mayor open to progress on civil rights issues. It's particularly poignant to me to receive this award on the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion. And although I am extremely honored to be recognized by the bar for my role in developing protections for LGBT families, I have worked side by side with many colleagues my entire life. Locally, Nancy Polikoff, Professor Emerita at the Washington College of Law at American University, has been the primary theoretician in extending legal rights for LGBT families. Paul Smith, a superb Supreme Court advocate, has argued important cases for our community, and I fear we will all need his skill sooner rather than later. Shannon Minter, Legal Director of the National Center for Lesbian Rights, has spent 25 years arguing appellate cases around the country on behalf of the LGBT community and winning most of them. I also have colleagues from around the country on the National Family Law Advisory Committee of NCLR. We have worked together for 15 years strategizing on how to protect LGBT families. There are countless other attorneys, paralegals, and others, both in the US and around the world now, who have devoted themselves to this work. I accept this award not only for myself, but on behalf of all of us who have advocated for LGBT families. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Michelle. If I had to capture the past year in a word, it would be